Good morning. Let's go back to 1963 and a film called The Nutty Professor. And you may have heard of this. This film is described as a science fiction comedy, which is a nice category, I suppose. It was directed, co-written and starring Jerry Lewis, a very accomplished actor, comedian and singer, among other things, and I'll get to some of the other things later. The film also stars Stella Stevens. The plot features Jerry Lewis as Professor Julian Kelp. Let me move this way. A university professor who performs science experiments which tend to backfire and even explode. In this character, Jerry Lewis is made up to look an unkempt and uncool, submissive nerd with a grating voice. Now, early in the film, Kelp gets bullied in the story by a jock. So we see Professor Kelp joining a gym to become strong enough to defend himself. In the end, though, he uses his scientific knowledge to mix up a concoction of chemicals to physically improve his strength. And even this doesn't work out as planned. He turns into an entirely different character, a suave, sexy, socially dominant, brash, abrasive character called Buddy Love, who sings and plays piano. Now, of course, Jerry Lewis himself is also a noted singer and musician. The chemical concoction keeps wearing off, unfortunately, causing Buddy Love to revert to Professor Julius Kelp at inopportune occasions. The Julius Kelp character was one that Jerry Lewis had used before and would keep using later, many, many times. Jerry Lewis was originally part of a duo with Dean Martin, himself a suave, sophisticated, sexy singer and musician. And the Buddy Love character was seen as a pastiche of Dean Martin, and perhaps it was, but Jerry Lewis denied this. He instead said that it was based on, and I'm quoting, every obnoxious, self-important, hateful hipster he ever knew. So not Dean Martin then. Jerry said that he should have made Buddy Love much more evil, because he received far more fan mail for Buddy Love than for the Professor. In The Simpsons, Professor Frink is based on the characterizations of Professor Kelp, the mannerisms, the look, the speech delivery. In the episode Treehouse of Horror XIV 14, Frink's father's character is voiced by Jerry Lewis. In the film, Buddy Love instructs the bartender to make him a cocktail called an Alaskan polar bear heater, which was fictional for the film, but can now be found on some cocktail menus. Jerry Lewis was by then an accomplished director and had, in an earlier film, not that many years earlier, The Bellboy, 1960, invented a production technique whereby he used the newfangled video camera alongside the conventional film camera. Now, remember, this was right at the beginning of the 60s. So video cameras were available, but not to everybody, but they were very new. So he used this newfangled video camera technology alongside mounted alongside the conventional film cameras so that they both saw the same thing with the same field of view, equivalent lenses. And the video camera and videotape recorder fed several video monitors for himself as the director to see as soon as he'd finished performing in a scene, to review the performance immediately, because he was directing himself as an actor. And this effectively enabled him to both direct and act. So up until then, the only way to see the outcome of a take was to rush the film through developing, bleach fixing, wash and dry, and then project it, and these were called the dailies. This changed everything. Jerry Lewis started this practice, developed it, but never patented it. Today it's in use in almost every film production. It's known as video assist, but Jerry Lewis invented it. Jerry Lewis taught a film directing class for several years in the 60s, and one of his students was a young man called George Lucas. And sometimes his friend Steven Spielberg sat in on some of the classes. So, very accomplished person. Jerry Lewis in The Nutty Professor, 1963. Have a very good weekend, everyone. If you like this, like and subscribe. If you don't want to, then just have a very good weekend anyway. Thank you very much. My name is Ian Tindale. Goodbye.